Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're ready to ask a few English questions and have me answer them. Sorry, I should clear my throat before I start the lesson, shouldn't I? Let me just make sure everything is working properly. As you can see, we are inside today. I briefly thought about going outside. Last night, I was pretty positive about it. We'll start in 20 seconds, by the way. Last night, I even mentioned in a comment to Know That's in the chat right now that I'll probably go outside and do the lesson outside today, but it's too cold. It's about -1, 0 degrees right now, and it's going up to 3 today. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson where you get to ask me questions and I will do my best to answer them. Sometimes when you're learning English, you learn things from a teacher or from a friend or from a book or from a textbook, and that's all good. But sometimes you just have a question and you don't know what the answer is. It might be about how to pronounce something, how to say something, how to use a certain word or verb, or maybe it's a little bit of slang or a funny English phrase. So this lesson is for us to kind of find those little funny parts about English that we are confused about. And hopefully I'm not confused about them. Sorry, I was reading comments and thinking at the same time. It's hard to do two things at once. But anyways, welcome. Yes, as you can see, I'm inside. I was kind of thinking of going outside, but that would have been a bad idea. I mentioned that in the preamble before I started the lesson. So anyways, if you're not sure how this lesson works, you have a link in the description below, and there's a link that will show up if a member types !link in the chat like I just did. Then Nightbot will post the link and you can ask a question. And there already are a couple of questions there. So that's really, really cool to see. Let's see here. So last night in a comment, I said to Know that I might do the lesson outside today. And his response was, that would be something, right? An outdoor live stream in February. But even though I know you're well adapted to cold weather, I wouldn't want to put you through that just to get it done. It would be fun though, right? Then he goes on to say, your health is much more important. Obviously, thank you. You can best judge, Bob, whether it's right for you or not. So yeah, I don't mind sitting in the cold for an hour if it's 5 or 6 degrees. That's doable. But 0 or 1 degree for an hour, it would eventually get into my bones. The cold would get through. So anyways, if you have a question, please use the link to ask it. By the way, I do have the camera outside set up so we can have a look at the blah and gray landscape. It's not very exciting right now in Canada, in my part of Canada at least. It's quite warmish for winter. And I think the last bit of snow melted a while ago. So quite sad, but hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. But hey, let's get a question on the screen and let's get this started. I did see a couple of questions in the chat. Please do use the form. That is the best way to make sure that I get the question and that I can answer it. So here we go. Questions. Let's see. First question is, oh wait, I need to slide this. Give me a second here. I want to make sure the whole question is on the screen. That's the right spot, I think. Right there is where it goes. Yeah, there we go. From Know That. Hey, Know That. Good to see you. I was chatting with Know That before, and I did reply to a comment from last night. Hey, Bob, could you explain the difference between need to, have to, and have got to? If there is one, and maybe give a few examples of which one is used. So the last one, have got to, is often used to emphasize something that you really, really need to do. Like, I have got to renew my driver's license. I have got to stop eating after 7 o'clock at night. I have got to study for my exams. It's the one you use when you really, really, really need to do something. So I could say I need to stop eating after 7 o'clock at night. I have to stop eating after 7 o'clock at night. Those mean the same thing, okay? I have to study for my exams. I need to study for my exams. But if you really want to emphasize that you use, and you can hear it in my voice too, right? I have got to stop shopping at the mall when I have no money. So you're really emphasizing something there. Next question here. This is an interesting one. I don't know the answer. From Kurdish. Hi, what's the primary difference between coroner and forensic pathologist in terms of their roles in investigating a dead body? So all I know is from what I've learned watching police TV shows, and I don't know really the difference, except that they will examine for evidence the person who is deceased. So sorry for a short answer, but not an area that Bob the Canadian is extremely knowledgeable in. In fact, probably anything I've learned from TV isn't true anyways. Okay, here we go from Renata. Hi, Bob. Long time no see. Could you please, let's get this question fully on the screen. Could you please pronounce these words for us? Well, I'll pronounce the ones I use. So burrow and bow. The next one I don't use, and thorough, the last one. All of the other ones I don't use, like never. Some of them I don't even know what they mean. So the first one, burrow, it's usually used to talk about a part of a city. Like, what borough do you live in? I think the city of New York has boroughs. And then a bough is just kind of a branch of a tree. And then thorough means to do something where you do it from start to end with, and make sure you do everything properly. Sorry for skipping those middle words, but I honestly don't use them. So don't even know what they are. Maybe in Britain they use those. Sally says, hi, Teacher Bob. I hope you're fine. What is the difference between studying in the winter and summer in Canada? So here's how our high school, elementary school, and university system works. Students start classes in the month of September, and they finish classes, if you're in college or university, in April or May. If you're in elementary school or high school, you finish in June. And then generally in July and August, there are no classes. If you're in university, June, July, and August, there are no classes. But you can take summer courses. High school students can take a summer course. They can do that online or at a school. And university or college students can also take summer courses. But generally, the way our system works is there are 2 semesters for high school and university, and one goes from September till about December, and then one goes from January, February to about May, June. So that's when the bulk of the learning happens in our school systems. Let me see here. Let me get to the next. From Yuri. Hi, Bob. What is jelly, marmalade, and jam? So to me, jelly is something made with fruit that you can spread on bread that doesn't have pieces of fruit in it. Whereas jam, if I have strawberry jam, there might be little pieces of strawberry in it. Okay. And then marmalade it's kind of an American term. I think it's used to talk about more like a jam made from oranges, maybe. Marmalade. Let's see. Preserve made from the juice and peel of citrus fruits. Yeah. So here we eat strawberry jam. We eat raspberry jam. Sometimes we have blueberry jam. So again, something you spread on bread, very sweet and tasty, and it has little pieces of fruit in it. Don't often eat marmalade here. I have had it in the US though, when I've gone to the States, to the United States. From Alfred, do you as a Canadian use the word clicks instead of kilometers? Sometimes it's slang. Like, how many clicks do you live from town? I live about 10 clicks from town. But I use kilometer more often. But if I heard someone say clicks, I know that they are talking about kilometers, Let's see, like I live about 20 clicks from work. That would be people would understand what I'm saying, but I would actually use kilometers because it's just a little more correct. Hey, I'm going to have a sip of water and say hi to, let's see, Lolly Lolly's here, Hafiez, Emilio, Know That, Mode Eggs, Renata, CS Team, Freddie Wolf, Caramel, Ms. Tandar, Marcia, or Marcia, two pronunciations. Duthin, good to see some familiar people here. Artur as well. Hey, Artur, if you put that question into the form, I will definitely answer that. Good to see all of you. If you're one of the 270 people watching, don't forget to click this red subscribe button if there's one on your screen if you're on a computer. And if you don't know, there should be a join or subscribe button somewhere that you can find as well. Next question. Let's see. How should I display this? From Hung. Math is the hardest subject in school, but it helps improve your logical thinking. So in what situation do you think math can apply to your life, and how is it used? Thanks. So Jen and I use a lot of math. Sorry, this is how it applies to my life. I think that's what you're asking. Jen and I use a lot of math on the farm. If we have a package of seeds and there's 1,000 seeds and it says to plant, 4 seeds per centimeter, and we have a row that's 30 meters long, we have to do math to figure out how many seeds we need exactly, right? We use it when we're doing the money for the farm. I use math when I calculate student grades, although the computer does a lot of it for me now. When I first started teaching, I had to do a lot of the math myself. But I do think you are right. Even when students don't like math, it does help you later in life. There are jobs where it's just handy to know math. When I built houses, when I was a construction worker during the summers between university semesters, we used math all the time to figure out how long to cut a piece of wood, how to make something. Like if you measure something that's 4 feet long and 3 feet long, and then if this is 5 feet long, then you know that the angle is a 90-degree angle. So you use all these little math-like tricks for sure. From Pedro. Hey, Bob, how are you? I'm good. Could you recommend any good intermediate English books to read? Thanks for the live stream. So when you go intermediate, I usually recommend that you look at the New York bestseller list and read books maybe by someone like Michael Crichton. He wrote, I think, The Firm and some other fun, what would you call them, suspenseful books. But you should, at the strong B1, B2 level, you should be reading whatever English readers are reading. So definitely the newspaper is a good source of intermediate or a little bit easier. But yeah, books that are, don't look for books like The Lord of the Rings or something that was written a long time ago. Look for current books, either fiction or nonfiction, and try to get through them. The more you read them, the easier it will get. So Shavani says, hello, Bob. Pleasure to meet you again. Hello. Could you explain the figures of speech euphemism and transferred epithet? So I don't know what the second one is, but a euphemism is when you use one word to describe something else because you don't want to use the actual word. It might be a bad word or something like that. So meaning of euphemism. I don't even know how to spell it. It says a mild or indirect word or expression used or substituted for a different word that's too harsh or vulgar or blunt. So often when people are talking about sexual things, they will use euphemisms. They'll use other words instead of the actual words. And then your second, a transferred epithet. I don't know what that is. Meaning of, now I'm curious. So a little known but often used figure of speech in which a modifier, usually an adjective, qualifies a noun other than the person. Oh, yeah, that's too complicated for me. I need an example now. Probably if I see an example, it will all make sense to me. I had a wonderful day. Yeah, that just sounds normal to me. The day is not in itself wonderful. The speaker had a wonderful day. Oh, I see. If I say I had a wonderful day, it means that that's not exactly true, though. That obviously the day was wonderful, but it's really the word wonderful is talking about my experiences, that the things I did were exciting. So tricky. Didn't know that one. I'll have to do a little more research on it. From Athik. I have made 4 attempts in IELTS General and failed only in reading module or in the reading module. Little fix there. And that too with a band minus 0.5. Could you please give me advice or a tip to get through it? So, I mean, this is a simple answer, but you get better at reading by doing a lot of reading. But it sounds to me like you probably need to be a little more guided in your reading. So you might benefit from hiring a tutor who specializes in helping you learn to read and understand better. Generally, if you read a lot, it will come naturally to you, but maybe something is preventing that from happening for you. So I would say you'll have to pay some money, but find someone who can really help you. The only advice I would give is make sure you're reading at the right level. And this is hard to figure out, but don't read things that are too hard, but don't read things that are too easy. You should always be struggling a little bit. Reading should always be a little bit hard when you're learning a language. For instance, there should be maybe 3 to 5 words per page that you don't understand that you need to look up. If there are 20 or 30 words per page, it might slow down the whole process. So that's the advice I would give. And then again, it's really simple, but do a lot of reading. Just do a ton of reading and test yourself on what you are remembering with that reading. Let's see here. Judith from Hungary. Very private question here. Hi, Bob. What kind of body lotion do you use? Do you use it as deodorant or you use deodorant on top of the lotion I go to work by? Well, bye, Judith. Have a good day at work. I have a shower. I use shampoo in my hair. I use a bar of soap to wash the rest of my body. And then I put deodorant on after and then I rinse off. And then I put deodorant on afterwards. So I don't use any kind of body lotion at all. Although in Canada in the winter, it's pretty common for people to put lotion on their hands. Your skin can get very dry in the winter, your face and your hands, because the air is very dry in our houses and in our buildings, because when you heat a building, the air gets dry. So your skin gets dry as well. I don't use hand lotion a lot, but I will sometimes late in the winter start to put a bit of hand lotion on after I have a shower just to moisturize my skin a little bit. But generally it's not too bad, but it does get a bit dry here for sure. From Rixan, let me have a sip of water here, everybody. Here, you guys can have a look outside. Walter did run by earlier if you were paying attention. Okay. From Rixan. Hi, Bob. Could you please explain the difference between, so we're going to switch out among and put between. Could you please explain the difference between flaunt, brag, and boast, when to use each? So when you brag or boast, you are talking, okay? When you brag or boast, you're saying, I'm the best basketball player in the world. I'm better than you. I won 8 games last week. I don't know who's saying this, but when you brag or boast, you are talking about yourself in a very positive way, almost to the point where it annoys other people, okay? When you flaunt, though, is more of an action, like you're flaunting the fact that you're very attractive or good looking, or you're flaunting the fact that you have a new coat. So again, brag and boast, very much you are saying things. But flaunt is a slightly different word. To display something overtly, especially in order to make other people admire or envy you, okay? So when you brag or boast, you are talking. When you flaunt, you are displaying an action or new clothes. Like if I had a new leather jacket, I might flaunt it amongst my friends who can't afford one or something like that. I don't actually have a leather jacket, but that was just an example. Rayan, the word enthusiastic, it just describes physical action. So you do something enthusiastically, like he's really good at baking bread and he kneads the dough enthusiastically. It's the day of weird examples from Bob. Jen likes to make bouquets and she does it enthusiastically. I like to... can I think about something enthusiastically? I'm not going to say that's 100% correct, But usually when I use the word enthusiastically, someone's doing something, okay? Like you wouldn't watch a movie enthusiastically. Because then I'm picturing you like jumping up and down while you're watching the movie. I mean, you could use it, but I would say it's more like, he's a very enthusiastic basketball player. He plays basketball enthusiastically. So yeah, I think most of the time it's with an action. From Lazy Mode. Hey, Mode. Hi, Mr. Bob. Thanks for doing a live lesson on Saturday. We shouldn't take those Q&A streams for granted, eh? Yeah, I haven't done one since the beginning of November. So I think beginning of December, COVID. Oh, I did 2 during Christmas break. That's right. Okay. Do you use the term laughing stock? So make sure there's an ing. Is it common in spoken English? Yes. If somebody does something and it's embarrassing or sorry, I'm just trying to fix something here. There we go. Now we can see the whole thing. If I was to, let's say all of the students were sitting in the gym at an assembly and I needed to go up and talk about something, and on the way I tripped and fell, I would be the laughing stock. So it just means someone who is laughed at. So yeah, when you make someone, should we look up the meaning of this too? Laughing stock. I mean, it's not super common, but it's definitely used. A person or thing who is mocked or ridiculed because of something they have done. So you are the laughing stock. So definitely use it. I don't think I use it a lot, but definitely very common. Like I wasn't like, ooh, what's that term? It's like, I probably heard that word a month or 2 ago. So LEL, this is a little broad. Did versus have. The word did itself has a lot of different uses. Like he did the job well, or you could say he did do the job. And that, in that sense, I'm using did to emphasize the verb. And then, yeah, have as well. This is a much bigger lesson. So I'll give you some example sentences. He did the job. If I want to emphasize, I would say he did do the job. Like if you said he didn't do a very good job, I could say he did do a very good job. Let's see, another use of did. I'm going to get off track if I try to think of too many. And then have as well. Like I have a dog. I have gone to the United States. So there's a lot of ways to use have as a verb, but also as an auxiliary verb. So too tricky to answer during a live stream, Iliel. I'll try to make a lesson on it at some point. Let's see here. Modag says, I think a more common word that has a similar meaning to flaunt is to sport. No. So to sport doesn't have as strong of a negative connotation. Like, oh, I see you're sporting a new coat. Yeah, I bought it yesterday. So you can be happy when you see someone sporting a new coat. When you see someone flaunting a new coat, you're annoyed or jealous. There's a slightly different emotion there. Let's see here. Okay, let me get to the next question before I get too off track. Victor, I get serious when I speak English and I lose all my words, although I know a lot. How can I get over that? Thanks. So there's a few things you can do to help with this. Again, the more conversations you have, the better it will get. But I recommend having practice conversations with an English tutor who will help and guide you in the conversation so that when you end up having a real English conversation, you have a lot of practice. So what I mean by that is, if you know you're going to speak English with a tutor each week, the tutor might say, next week, we're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about art. I want you to describe 3 different people, and I want you to talk about your favorite food. And then the person will help you learn how to express in English what you want to say for each of those areas. And then if you do that enough, it will help with your regular English conversations. So for sure, practice is good, but guided practice is very helpful, Victor, for sure. From Oksana, hello, what is the correct question? Okay, I'm going to read these quietly because I don't like reading things that are wrong out loud. I think they're both right. Do your friends watch TV after school or go to the cinema? Versus, do your friends watch TV after school or do they go to the cinema? Both are correct. Totally correct. Hey, do your friends watch TV after school or go to the cinema? Or do your friends watch TV after school or do they go to the cinema? Totally correct. Both of them. I don't know why we have two completely different versions or ways of saying the same thing, but totally correct for sure. From Lolly Lolly, please, quelle est la différence entre? What is the difference between field, meadow, and grass? Merci, Bob. So if we look outside, let's go here. I would say this is my grass. So grass and lawn are often used interchangeably in English. Okay, I need to mow the grass. I need to mow the lawn. Meadow is usually a place that isn't actively being farmed. So a meadow would be filled with grass and some wildflowers. It might have, like, sheep and horses are sometimes in a meadow, but it isn't the same as a field of wheat or a field of hay or a field of other crops. Okay. And then a field is just a general term for an area where a farmer grows crops. So you can have a field of corn, a field of wheat, a field of hay, a field of soybeans. It's the general term. Like Jen has a flower field. If you go out to the certain area on our farm, there is a field of flowers there. So hopefully that makes sense. J'espère que tu as j'espère que tu as compris. I hope I said that right. We'll see. I don't know if I have to use a subjunctive form because I'm expressing an opinion. Someone will tell me in the chat if that was correct or not. Let's see here. Time to hydrate, says Hafiez. Have a sip of water. Yaroslav said, Mode and Yaroslav are having a good conversation about borscht. Very, very cool. There may be a recipe showing up in the comments at a certain point in time. Let's see. From Maxim. Hi, Teacher Bob. When someone asks you a question, do you usually imagine that person, if you imagine, for example, the person's age? Oh, like during the live stream? Yeah, I do a little bit. I do sometimes. I don't know if you guys can see Walter. He's just coming onto the driveway right now. I do know what some of you actually look like, by the way. I know what, if you remember yesterday, Natalia Illusion, I think, asked a question. I've actually met with Natalia. She won a contest where I did English lessons. I know what Freddie Wolf looks like because Freddie joined me for when I did a Saturday session with 5 people. So Freddie Wolf, I do know what he looks like. But for others of you, no, I just kind of know the name that you use on YouTube, and that's it. I don't really know what you look like. Although one of you, and I won't mention the name because he's a very private person, did send me a little, I do know what one of you looks like because one of you shared, 2 of you actually. Another person sent me a couple videos to show me the area where they lived because I like to walk and show this area. And then that viewer sent me a video showing that area, which was very cool. It's fun to see different areas. Arun Paul, in English, why can the same word function as different parts of speech without any change in its spelling? For example, love can be both a noun and verb. Yeah, I have a lot of love for Jen. I love Jen, right? I think because it's convenient. This happens a lot with new words, right? Like I am going to read my email. I'm going to email my mom. So with new words, it's like, well, if we need a noun and we need a verb, let's just make it the same word. It can be a bit confusing, but it can also be handy, right? Like, I'm trying to think of another one. This is kind of a funny one, but when we were kids, we would milk the cows and then we would drink the milk, right? So I think sometimes it's just, well, if we need a noun form and verb form, let's just use the same word. Let's see. I'm looking through just to see if anyone corrected my French earlier. I'm not sure if anybody did. I didn't look quick enough, I don't think. Ouais, tu sais que même que je suis un prof de français, je fais des fautes. Even though I'm a French teacher, I make mistakes, but that's okay. Mistakes are part of learning a language. I think that if you aren't willing to make mistakes, it will be very difficult for you to learn a language, for sure. Red Fish, good morning, Bob. What is the difference between dry up and dry out? So in our driveway outside, can't quite see it. I think they've dried out now. We had puddles, and there's one little one out there. It hasn't quite dried up yet. But when the sun comes out, they dry out. When the sun comes out, they dry up. So I use them the same way. There is a slight difference, though. If my table in the kitchen had water on it, I might use a towel to dry up the water. I would use wipe up the water, but you could dry up the water with a towel. Whereas when you wash clothes, you hang them up because you want them to dry out. So there is a slight difference. Just a slight difference. Freddie Wolf says, "Yeah, pas de loup. There's no wolves in the meadow. They're more in the forest." I like Freddie Wolf, Freddie le Loup. I like his name. It's a very good name. Yes, tu as compris est correct, Bob. Merci beaucoup. Okay, we're going to switch to members only chat. Let's go to Rivercam. I'll have a sip of water. I see Karen in the chat says, I want to speak English well, but I don't want to study. The best thing to do then is to move or go to an English-speaking country for a long period of time. Like if you don't want to do any kind of formal study, like if you want to learn a language, but you don't want to hit the books, you don't want to take a class, you should then go to a place where they speak English for a few months and then just try to learn as much of the language as possible. That's your best bet. Hey, let's keep doing questions. From Vera. Hi, Bob. No questions today. I just wanted to thank you for the hard work you do for us. I learned a lot by watching your lessons. I appreciate everything you do for us. It is no problem. It has been 7 years of fun. And I say that for sure, like truly, it's been 7 years of fun. There has been a couple of times where I've been trying to make a video in a windstorm where it hasn't been as fun. But for me, this has always been a perfect vehicle for who I am. So this is a job, but it's also a hobby. I like having ideas and then being able to make them into video. So you are welcome. I'm glad you enjoy the lessons, but you should all know that I just like making them as well. So very nice. Know that in the chat says, Bob, you mentioned yesterday that Jen is going to roll out something new for her with dried flower petals. Do you plan to show it to us in one of your videos? I think it would be interesting. Yeah, so it's called potpourri. I don't know if we'll do a lot of it. It's, let's see here, potpourri. So it's, you dry fragrant flower petals and then you sell them in a little bag. And I think people use them in their homes because they smell nice. They make the room smell nice. If we do some of it, know that I will definitely show you. And then Hafia says, sounds like potpourri. Yes, potpourri. That's correct. I just typed it in the chat, but it didn't show up yet. Maybe, oh, did I just click a bad button? Maybe I'll go to a different screen. I clicked the refresh chat button in my, there we go. Let's see. Freddie Wolf says, hi, Bob. No questions so far, but here's a dad joke that I hope will make you crack up. Will make you crack up or perhaps rolling your eyes. Why did the scarecrow win an award? Because it was outstanding in his field. So let me explain the joke. I always ruin jokes by explaining them, don't I? A scarecrow is like when you take clothes and you put them on a stick in the field with a hat so it looks like a person, and then that scares the birds away. And then when you use the word outstanding, it means you did something well. But if you split it into two words, outstanding, it means you're literally in that place. So it's kind of a play on words, we would say in English. I would give it 2 thumbs up as a dad joke. Yaroslav says, morning, the wisest teacher, Bob. A little bit late today. Good to see you, though, Yaroslav. Good to have you here. Let me see here. Did I type potpourri in the chat? Did that not show up? I thought oh yeah, I did type it. Okay, right after Hafiez says sounds like potpourri. Good. Just didn't show. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm just blind. Lolly says, Félicitations, mon ami Renata. Je suis sûr que tu vas faire de progrès rapidement. I think Renata's learning a little bit of French. So that's cool. Lolly is congratulating her on that. I think. I haven't been keeping up on the chat and what you guys are saying to each other. But that is very cool. Yaroslav says, I have no questions. Just happy to come back here. Take care, everyone. Noah that says, thanks, Bob. No problem. And then Tanya says, hi, Bob. Can you help with explaining the difference between sensible and sensitive? Thanks a lot and have a great weekend. These words are tricky because in other languages, the friend words can mean different things. In English, if I say Joe is sensible, it means he's practical. It means if Joe goes to the store, he buys food that's on sale. It means if Joe makes a decision, he thinks about it and makes a logical, practical decision. You want to have a lot of employees who are sensible, who don't do silly things. They do really well thought out things. It's good to have a sensible approach. So sensitive, though, means prone to emotions, and usually I would say sad or negative emotions. Like, don't call Joe Joey. He's very sensitive about it. He gets upset if you call him Joey. That's the name he used as a kid. So call him Joe. Don't call him Joey. He's very sensitive about it. So if you called him Joey, he might be annoyed. He might make him sad, gives him a bad memory or something like that. So sensible is practical. Sensitive is like an emotional response. Hey, Mr. Bob, thanks for answering my question about laughingstock. I really needed a cleaner way to say the butt of jokes. Yes, exactly. That is exactly what the laughingstock is. You're the butt of someone's jokes. Let's see here. From Fatima, hey teacher, how are you? I don't have to ask a question today, but please wish me luck because I have a test tomorrow, an English test. I hope it goes well. I wish you the best of luck. I hope you have prepared. I hope the test goes really well. Make sure you bring enough pens and pencils if you need pens and pencils. That's what I always say to my students. When you go to write an exam, bring extra pens just in case. What if one runs out? So anyways, Fatima, I hope it goes really, really well. I'll do another question from the forum and then back to the chat. From Artur, hi Bob, could you explain the difference between, there's Jen going to the barn. Jen loves it when I show people her walking to the barn with the dogs. And if you're really got keen eyes, you could see that Oscar just peed on the back tire of my van. Not very nice. But hey, that's what dogs do. Can you explain I'm going to add the difference between come back and return and give a few examples? Thank you in advance. I'm going to go on a trip next week. I'm going to come back in March. I'm going to go on a trip next week. I'm going to return in March. Yeah, so come back, I think I would use more. They mean the same thing in that sense. I'm going to come back in a few days. I'm going to return in a few days. When I use return, it sounds really formal to me. Like, oh, hey, when's Joe going to come back? You mean Joey? No, don't call him Joey. He's very sensitive about that. When is Joe going to come back? He's going to come back on Saturday, or he's going to come back on Tuesday. When is Joe going to return? He's going to return on Tuesday. Yeah, so they both work. The second one sounds a little formal. Now, be careful. There's other meanings to return, right? Like you can return a book to the library. You can return something to the store because it doesn't work properly and you want a refund. So there are other meanings of return. And it's also a noun. So you can return something and then they'll put it in a box with the other returns. So there you go. Let's see here. Freddie Wolf says, others. I know only 25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why. Why number 6 was afraid of number 7, because 7, 8, 9. Yes, I'll let you figure out the second one because Freddie used the word 8, but it sounds like a number. I like the first one too. I don't know why. Very good. John Wedge says, hello, Bob and friends. No question today. I'm at work now. Haha. By the way, I'm reading from the chat right now if you're wondering what's happening. A lot of people saying hello to John. Good to see John Wedge, a regular. John says, I need to watch the live stream of phrasal verb 3 and 4. Haha, I'm late in my studies. So yeah, yesterday I did phrasal verbs part 4. A shorter version of that lesson will be coming out in 24 hours, less than 24 hours. But you can go watch the original if you want to. It's available for you to watch. And there are 4 parts, like part 1, 2, 3, 4, all together covering about 102, 103 common phrasal verbs. Let me get another question from the chat here. Mauro, how to master the use of grammar tenses appropriately when it comes to speaking. So I'm a big fan of learning trigger words to practice talking about the future, the present, and the past, and then using those words to kind of trick your brain into using the right tense. So what I mean is this. I'm not going to give you the exact tenses, but you should learn to say things like, tomorrow I'm going to go to work. Next week I'm going to go on vacation. Right now I'm doing a live stream. Right now I'm hungry. I'll eat after the live stream. Yesterday I went to work. Yesterday I ate some pizza. So when you use words like tomorrow or next week or right now or yesterday or last week, those trigger words, I should do another lesson on this. Those trigger words, when you practice it enough, can eventually train your brain to follow with the right tense. So try that, Mauro. I think that's one thing that you can do to help you. And then do that when you're in a conversation. Like if you think, okay, I'm going to use the past tense, I'm going to talk about last week. I'll start by saying, oh, last week, Jen and I went to the store. So there you go. Lots of highs going on. Hello, hello. John says, for sure I'll watch it, Bob, and help the channel. Awesome. Thanks, John. And Hafiez. Whoa, that was a quick finger on getting the phrasal for part 4 picture up. Yeah, it's always available because I use the same software, right? So it's always, I have everything loaded, preloaded on the left-hand side, so I can jump back when I need to. Hey, I'm going to turn off members only chat. If you are a member, once again, thank you for being a member. You guys are awesome. You help make this channel what it is. You help me to click the right button. You help me to enjoy this a lot too. By the way, I do enjoy having members also just for my own sake. It's nice seeing familiar names. It's nice seeing people leave comments. It's nice seeing the green names in the chat. So not only does your monetary support help me, but your being here is just as helpful, if not more helpful. I do like that a lot. Okay, what do we got? 20 more minutes or so. I'll keep going with the questions. From Ario. Hi, Mr. Bobby. So Bobby is the kid form of my name. So it's kind of a funny thing. When people named Bob, by the way, all Bobs are usually Roberts. My real name is Robert. Most of you knew that. Bob is like the short form. When you're a kid, sometimes you're called Bobby. I'm just realizing something essential. So we need to take the C out and put 2 S's about my English. I'm in intermediate level now. What should I do next? I interact with an AI named Cece. What do you think? I think AI is very cool for learning English. I think AI is very, very helpful. I think if you aren't using AI a little bit to practice your conversations, you should. I think once AI becomes fully interactive, so it listens and talks to you, like on my phone right now, I can have a French conversation with an AI where I talk and it responds. It's a little slow, but it works. But I would use it as much as possible. But don't forget that real conversations happen with real people, and they are a little bit different. So practice a lot with AI. Practice your reading, your writing, your speaking, your listening, whatever you can. But do make sure you are still interacting with people at some point, because people are wittier. They speak a little. I still find AI isn't quite like a person. It's enough like a person to make it very valuable for practicing your English, but it's still not quite like a person. I think they will be. I think I'll be replaced by AI at some point. Vitor, was your life different before YouTube? Has YouTube changed your life? Thanks, Bob. So was my life different before YouTube? Not really. You have to realize that I teach on YouTube and I was just teaching at a school in real life. So making videos to teach people things isn't that different than creating a lesson and teaching it in the classroom. It has some of the same elements. How has YouTube changed my life though? What YouTube has done for me is that I can't quit my job. By the way, you don't make a lot of money on YouTube, but I make enough money that I do not have to work full time. So right now I'm about 75%, somewhere in that range. So I go to work. I don't have to work a 9-hour day. I only need to work about a 6.5-hour day, and then I can come home. And that has really helped with YouTube. So how has it changed my life? I don't work full time anymore, but I still work. And that's really nice. There were a few years where I worked full time and I did YouTube. That was really hard. I don't know how I did that. That was a little bit crazy. But how has it changed my life? Like my day to day? Not really. Like it is a job, but like I said earlier, it's something that it's also a job. It's also a hobby. So I enjoy it. From Alyssa Alice. Oh, I think you were here yesterday. Our Bob, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Oh, so do you know the word sacrilegious? That could be considered sacrilegious. You should look that up. Could you let me ask a question here about when we use the construction I've yet to do instead of I haven't done? Thank you. So if someone says, I've gone skydiving 10 times, have you? I could say, oh, I've yet to do that. But I could also say I haven't done that yet. So when you say I haven't done with yet on the end, it means the same as I've yet to do that. I don't know if I say that a lot. Have you ever gone to Holland, or sorry, the Netherlands? Sorry, people from the Netherlands. I know it's the Netherlands now. I've yet to do that, or I haven't done that yet. They're the same in the way I am using them. So there you go. Unsel, you said your mother worked at the library. Does this have an effect on why you love reading books? Did you spend time with your mother in the library when you were a kid? So we went to the library every week, like every week as a kid. All of my brothers and sisters like reading. So I think it must have something to do with my mom. My dad didn't read a lot of books. My dad read a lot of newspapers, a lot of magazines, but my mom was and still continues to read. She loves to read. So I think it was not so much because she was a librarian, but I think it was because she liked reading and she made sure we always had books. So we would get a box of books from the library every week. Like however many we were allowed to take out, we took out that many books. And yeah, reading was definitely a part of my childhood because of, I think more because my mom loved to read and we saw that. And she read books to us when we were really little. From Al Gore, hi Bob, they say both on one hand, on the other, and on the one hand and on the other. When I hear on the one hand, I picture a one-armed man. What do you think? So on one hand, I think that's interesting. On the other hand, yeah, so how do I say it? On one hand, but on the other hand. So I start with on one hand, I don't use the, but when I do the other part, I use the. For those of you that don't know, when you're talking about two things, like on one hand, I really like eating oranges, but on the other hand, apples are cheaper right now. So you're kind of comparing things. So that's how I use it. And no, I don't picture that when I think of the phrase. So, Munir, how do people pass IELTS speaking where you talk about a given topic for 2 to 3 minutes? I don't know how to answer even in my language. I have to imagine hard and I need more time. So I can't speak for the IELTS, but I can speak for, I've taken the B1, B2 at Alliance Française. And so when I did the speaking portion, I was given some time to think about it, but it was more of a conversation. So I think you're talking about maybe when you record yourself speaking. because sometimes you do that for IELTS. You don't meet a person, right? So again, practice. You can do it, okay? You can talk for 2 to 3 minutes about something. What I would suggest is practice on your own, talking for 2 to 3 minutes about something you like, something you're interested in. That doesn't mean that's what you'll get to talk about on the test, but if you really like birds, talk about birds for 3 minutes. Time yourself. If you really like cars, try to talk about cars for 3 minutes. Try to talk about things you like. And then you can also create like a little structure for it. Like if I had to talk about food, I could talk about the food I ate as a kid, the food I like to eat now, the food that I don't like, the food that my mom made me eat when I was a kid. And then you could talk about where you buy your food. And then lastly, I will just say this. Make sure you're answering all the questions, the who, what, where, when, why, how. Okay. So if they were to say, talk about traffic in Paris for 3 minutes, you would say, okay, in some sections of Paris, traffic's really bad at certain times of day. How do I get around Paris? I usually take an Uber. Like, I'm not giving you the best advice here, but just try to have a bit of a map in your mind about the parts of it you could talk about. I don't think I've ever seen this much discussion about food in the chat. Can I use yogurt instead of sour cream? It isn't a main ingredient, right? It just pairs well with it. Yeah, you can. So I don't know the answer, but we sometimes use plain Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. It has a similar consistency and taste. Not something with sugar in it. That doesn't work. Leah, hi Bob, can you explain the difference between shore and coast? So the shore or the coast is where land meets water. Generally, when I talk about the coast, I mean where the land meets the ocean. So where the Atlantic Ocean meets Canada, that's the coast, and we call it our coastline as well. But I could say with a lake, a small lake, you could sit on the shore of a lake. Okay, I wouldn't use the word coast to talk about a lake. But I could say, if you were going down to the ocean, I could say shore. Like, are you going down to the shore? Yeah. So definitely coast to me is like where a country meets up against the Atlantic Ocean or Pacific Ocean or Indian Ocean or one of the other oceans. Let's see here. So Orman. Hi, Bob. With explicit content being so common online these days, did your kids ever stumble upon it? And if they did, how did you handle the situation? So I don't want to speak too much about this, but we have been very intentional about teaching our kids what is right and wrong in terms of what they do on the internet, how they treat other people, how they behave in chat, the kinds of things they look at. So we haven't like policed them, but we have tried to encourage them to do good things using the internet and not to use it for bad things. So I know that's not like a complete answer, but that was our starting point. Fuzzy, hello, sir. Please clarify that when we can use whether and when if. Let me see. Like you use whether in sentences like this, like whether it's raining or snowing, I'm going to go for a walk today. But I don't know if I ever use when if together in a sentence. Like I would use if when, like if when you get there isn't enough food, go buy some. So I could say a sentence like that. So I'll leave it at that. Not the best explanation, but somewhat of an explanation. Eldos, good evening, Bob. Oh, it must be evening there. It's still morning here. It's almost 11 a.m. How are you? How's your day going? How are you doing at work? Good luck and health to you and your family from Kazakhstan. Things are going well. I do wish that it was more wintry. As I mentioned, this is what it looks like outside. It's not very colorful. I watched a video that I made last fall a while ago, and it was really colorful. Lots of colorful, and now it's just kind of blah and gray. You can see it's not even sunny outside. So a little disappointed that we're not having a good winter. But other than that, feeling healthy, enjoying life, having fun, doing things with Jen and the kids on the weekends and those kinds of things. So all in all, really, really good. Let me see here. Oh, Jen's probably like, don't show me on camera. Don't show me on camera. So Jen's done in the barn. She has her pail. She's on her way back to the house. I think she's trying to walk where we can't see her. Sorry, I shouldn't be mean to my wife. Let's see. English learner says, hello, Bob. What topic will you choose for the next live lesson? I don't know. I really enjoyed doing phrasal verbs for 4 weeks, but I'm happy I'm done because I want to do something else just for variety. So I haven't chosen a topic yet. I'm sure something will strike my fancy this week and I will figure out how to do a topic on it. It might be a topic on like describing things like this is fuzzy. I've done lessons. I think I've taught fuzzy before though, but this is the microphone I use when I make videos. You probably have seen this, right? Clipped on. Yeah. So what I do though is what I just did now. I pay attention to the world around me and to the things I say and the things I hear. And eventually I'll hear something and I'll think, oh, I think I could teach a whole lesson on that. And then that's what I do. This is from Safen. Hello, Safen in Kurdistan. I have no question for you today. No problem. Thanks for coming and listening though. That is awesome. From Majd, hi Bob, I want to thank you because I enjoy in the lesson to your lessons, but I want advice to move up in English. I'm currently level A2. So here's my feeling about level A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. You can do a lot on your own with level A1, A2. Like you can listen to a lot of YouTube videos. You can memorize lots of vocabulary. You can read, certain things. You can teach yourself a lot at the A1, 2 level. You can continue to teach yourself a lot at the B1 level. But once you're somewhere around B1, B2, you should get a tutor and you should start having English conversations every week. So that is, I think, where you would be at. If you're at A2 and you're a strong A2, hopefully you're having an English conversation every week for 30 minutes or an hour. And that in itself will drive the rest of your English learning. I really think that's important. So if you can do that, that's what I would recommend. From Unabi, hi Bob, just another simple question. Could you explain the difference between quick and fast, where we use them, each of them? Thanks. So I use them somewhat interchangeably. You have to do this fast. You have to do this quick. Like that's not quick enough. That's not fast enough. Go faster, go quicker. But I think in reality, quicker is slower than faster. I don't know. I don't know how to answer this one. I think I simply use whichever one comes to mind. Like if let's say a student is writing a test and they have 5 minutes left, I might say, hey, you might want to go a bit quicker because time's up in 5 minutes. Hey, you might want to go a bit faster. Time's up in 5 minutes. So in those examples, they mean the same thing. We've got 3 minutes left. If anyone wants to ask a question, they can. In the comments, Jorge says, I really like the lessons in which you learn something new about your country or the everyday things you do and put it together with expressions in English. I love it. Yeah, I try my best to teach things that are very, very current. Like a lot of my videos or lessons are about phrases, and they're phrases on a certain subject. So this past week, it was about phrases you can use in the morning or terms that you can use in the morning. And then that's just related to my life. I was up early. I had a rough outline of a lesson like that ready to go. So I kind of went and filled it out and finished it off and went outside with my camera and did it. So anyways, I'm going to say bye to a few people, and then I'm going to finish editing something and put it up for tomorrow. But anyways, like yesterday's video, today I have to edit this down to 25 minutes or so and put it up for tomorrow. But anyways, bye to Know That, Kakachen, Redfish and Crawfish, Jorge, Lolly Lolly, Vitor, Modags was here earlier, probably still is. Unsel, Renata, Carlos, Bassam, Nawaf. Let's see here. Branislav, I know Yaroslav was here earlier as well. John Wedge pops in to say hi. Hafiez, Safen. Let me go back to the bottom. People are starting to say bye. Bye to Al Gore, Ulia, Kingabak, Vitor, A3, NVH 2023. That's a hard one to say. Ellis, Capricorn, and the rest of you. And Ario. Bye, Ario. Good to see you too. And Clive. Hi, Clive. Anyways, have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'm going to hit the end button. And we will go back outside at some point, but just not today. In the chat, Anton says, more phrasal words, please. So I will do more phrasal verb Friday lessons. I think what I said is maybe every 8 weeks, like every other month, I'll try to do a phrasal verb lesson. I don't want to do one like 4 in a row was too many. I will keep doing them though, so that you have a nice library of lessons to learn them. Nita says, I follow your podcast every day. Awesome. Oh, bye to Freddie Wolf too. Forgot to say bye to Freddie and Gaurav. And that's it. Bye, everybody.